Welcome to the DA Wrestling Podcast. It's Doug, riding solo tonight, here to review Smackdown from Worcester, Massachusetts. Good show, coming off the heels of Money in the Bank. We opened up tonight with Tiffany Stratton coming out, celebrating her Money in the Bank win. Found out she's the youngest Money in the Bank winner in WWE history. Also, right off the top, she's teasing Trish Stratus again, which quite possibly maybe SummerSlam. Who knows? Trish's never officially closed the door on anything, so um, could be something in the works. But that prompted Bayley to come out, just kind of warning Tiffany Stratton if she plans on cashing in, that she would be the first to fail in the women's cash-ins because they have a 100% cash-in rate at this point, which also prompted Nia Jax to come out, Bayley's SummerSlam opponent in 3 weeks, who was basically telling Bayley she's going to victimize Bayley at Money in the Bank, and Bayley was quick to remind Nia Jax that this is not the same Bayley that Nia Jax has, been dominant over in the past. And then asked Tiffany if she plans on cashing in on Nia, which leads to an attack. Leads to an attack. After that, Mishin comes out with a kendo stick, damn near takes Tiffany Stratton's head off. But that moved right into Nia Jax versus Mishin. Decent 10-minute, 15-minute opener. And Nia Jax picks up the win. After the match, there was another attack on Bayley. They leave Bayley laying, and Tiffany teases cashing in until Nia's like, "What are you doing?" And kind of getting mad at her about it. So Tiffany may be quick to pull the trigger here. After that, we had Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews versus Angel and Berto, stemming from an attack that was posted on social media last week, where Corbin was attacked by Berto and Angel after Santos was taunting Baron Corbin, and this match got started in a hurry. Apollo Crews diving over the top rope, and we also saw Baron Corbin dive over the top onto Berto and Angel later in the match. However, Corbin and Crews had the upper hand. Crews hit the gorilla press, which usually sets up his standing moonsault, when Elektra Lopez distracts the ref, and Santos hits Crews with a knee, wing clipper by Angel, and Legado del Fantasma picks up the win. Again, fine match, kind of showcasing two teams that could potentially beat DIY's next challenger. Chelsea Green all night is behind several segments, quick little segments. She is waiting outside Nick Aldis's office. Eventually, LA Knight comes out, saying he's got a contract for a U.S. title match with Logan Paul. The payoff for this at the end of the night is that Nick Aldis actually was not there. So I don't know who LA Knight was dealing with and why there was a sign with Nick Aldis's nameplate on it. But I digress. LA Knight comes out, cuts a promo. Basically, it's signed by Nick Aldis. It's signed by LA Knight for SummerSlam. Logan Paul just has to sign it, and Logan Paul will be at Smackdown next week. Following that up was Naomi and Blair Davenport. One of Andrew's faves is Blair Davenport. She was on the losing end to Naomi here. Another really good match. Like, had some decent wrestling on this show. But we had Solo Sikoa in a video message basically warning everybody that at the end of the night, everyone's going to acknowledge him. And we also had Randy Orton with a subtleties, maybe. Cody Rhodes sitting in the locker room, and Orton sits down beside him, telling him, I got your back. And once this bloodline stuff is over, there's going to be a lot of guys gunning for your title, and I'm going to have your back then too. Randy, we've been watching you for over 20 years. You're full of shit. Okay. As soon as this bloodline shit's over, you're going to drop Cody faster than uh, a bad habit. I don't know. Tried to think of a funny pun there, but it's late. So also in the back, Naomi's celebrating with Jade and Bianca, which is then revealed that Nick Aldis isn't there. Blair Davenport comes up after they leave and says that the better person won, and hopefully it's her time next time. But um, but Naomi reluctantly shakes her hand, only to get blindsided by Blair Davenport. So this one's not over by a long shot. Now to the main event, which was the rematch from last week, A-Town Down Under, Austin Theory and Grayson Waller versus DIY. This one was not as competitive or dramatic as last week in Toronto. More miscommunication. Waller hits Theory with a knee, turns around into a shatter machine, meet me in the middle, and DIY retains. However, right as they were teasing the Theory and Waller breakup, as they're shouting at each other, here comes Jacob Fatu and just lays out both of them, climbs into the ring, and just murders DIY single-handedly. And we see like a springboard, Arabian moonsault. I think that's the name of it. I know Chris Daniels did it a bunch, where you bounce off the top rope and kind of flip with your legs off the ropes. Then he nails Ciampa with a sickening pop-up Samoan drop, and then climbs the top and hits a BME. Best moonsault ever. And dude, Jacob Fatu is so impressive. I did not I heard rumblings of this guy in MLW and stuff like that, and I never got a chance to really check him out. But since what they've shown since he's been in for the last 3 weeks now, this is this man is not human. But he did this to set up Solo and the rest of the bloodline coming out. We come back from break. It's like 9:40 something, and Solo tells Worcester to acknowledge him. They boo the living shit out of him, and he said, "Are you sure you want to do that? Because look at what happened to the people that haven't acknowledged me. Jimmy Uso, my own brother, gone. The wise man, Paul Heyman, gone. Roman Reigns." And then the crowd starts chanting, "We want Roman." And Solo says, yeah, now you're chanting it. You don't deserve Roman. You have me now. And if Roman decides to come back, he's going to acknowledge me as his tribal chief. So Roman most likely is coming back for SummerSlam. I think we've all been speculating on this for a while. I I like the current progression of this bloodline story. We were kind of in a weird area between like April, like from like after WrestleMania till basically coming up to when they kicked out Paul Heyman, but um now it's really come together. Uh Jimmy Uso, he was nowhere to be seen, but I think he gets involved too. He may get involved first, if I'm being honest, but this prompted Cody Rhodes to come out um and says Nick Aldis isn't here, but we both want the same thing. Cody solo at SummerSlam. And I know people are clowning on this, but it makes sense given the story um, it's kind of surrounding the bloodline right now and the the just natural progression. We knew this was going to be the match after Money in the Bank. Um, so we knew this after Money in the Bank that Solo was definitely going to challenge Cody at SummerSlam, and this is going to play into Roman's return. Um, if it were up to me right now, if it were up to me right now, I wouldn't have a problem putting the title on Solo because Cody can always get it back. Cody doesn't necessarily need to be champion all the way through. Um, but I do know, like, well, what we've heard and speculated is Rock, Rock and Cody at WrestleMania, uh, in Vegas 2025. Um, although you do kind of want to do that Cody Randy program with the title, I suppose, because say say Cody gets by Solo and Solo starts dealing with Roman and his side, maybe Orton picks up number 15. Now, hear me out on this, okay? Orton picks up number 15 somewhere along the way, okay? And Cody can get it back at like Royal Rumble, whatever. And then this way, you can do the Rock Cody match. Cody gets the win over the Rock. And then what you can do is that plays into John Cena coming back, right? So because I've heard a lot of talk over the last week where, ideally, right, we can do Randy and Cena. I mean, you could still do that at Mania without the title because the closest we ever got to Randy Orton, John Cena at WrestleMania was WrestleMania 24, where they were in a triple threat with Triple H. That's the closest we've got. And this is one of, love it or hate it, this is one of the most iconic rivalries in the last 20 years, if not ever. So Cena Orton, I mean, I know kind of the dream scenario is like Cena maybe beats Orton to get number 17. But I think there's too many interesting stories going on right now for that to be a reality unless you do that in like mid to late 2025. Um, and I mean, hopefully, maybe, well, I mean, I guess he did say last weekend that 2025 Royal Rumble will be the last for John Cena. So, I mean, I was kind of hoping he'd stretch it and, do it at a bigger event, but you can make John Cena's last match or last pay-per-view, you can make that a big deal. People are going to tune in, people are going to show up. Um, because again, love him or hate him, John Cena is one of the best dudes to ever, one of the best people to ever step foot in WWE. Okay. Um, and I mean, I'm not even talking about like the 16 world titles, but like you look at a guy who navigated as the top guy through a down period, um, a really down period, that never really woke up until after he stopped coming in full time. Uh, and, you know, I will always have, and we're going to talk on the podcast, I mean, about, John Cena throughout the next year, obviously. Um, but, you know, he was the guy when I was a teenager. And, you know, I didn't like the whole, LOL Cena wins, but, he put on, he is way more underrated than people give him credit for. I mean, like he got excellent matches out of guys like Bobby Lashley. He got a somewhat decent match out of Great Khali. He got, he was able to navigate Ryback through a decent set of matches, you know? And then also look at his work with the US title in 2015. Everyone kind of puts that up on a pedestal. Um, Working with so many different guys in the mid card scene. Um, but to circle it all back, Cody lays down the challenge for SummerSlam, but he said if it was up to him, it would be tonight. So he drops the title, takes off the suit jacket, and starts swinging. But very quickly is stopped by Jacob Fatu. Out comes Randy Orton, dispatches of Gorillas of Destiny very briefly, um, hits Solo with a draping DDT, only again to get bulldozed by Jacob Fatu, goes out of the ring. Fatu hits him again, this time with a suicide dive. And then they grab Cody, tie him up in the ropes, and make Cody watch the destruction of Randy Orton. And it was like 3 or 4 super kicks from Fatu, and then they hit the Shield triple power bomb through the announce table, and then Solo ends it with hitting a spike on Cody while he's still tied up in the ropes, and they go off the air with Cody still tied up in the ropes and the bloodline all with the ones up in the air, and Orton laid out. Um, I love how strongly they're presenting this new bloodline as a threat. Um, because on the surface, when you look at it, right, before Roman took off, who was Solo Sikoa, right? Since he lost to Cody, leading up to WrestleMania 39, he was losing all the time, minus a couple big wins against John Cena. And then, um, even leading up to this year, like he was kind of like the fall guy, him and Jimmy, right? Uh, so, and then when you look at Gorillas of Destiny, as successful as they were as a tag team in New Japan, I mean, they were never really top of the card tag team, but I mean, they were still a good tag team. And Jacob Fatu just didn't have a big enough audience. So you're taking really a group of guys who were floating around mid card, no matter what promotion they were in, or I mean, I guess in Jacob Fatu's case, he was MLW's guy. Um, and then just completely elevating all four of them to major players, where they can actually be credible threats. Um, I think it's awesome. Um, and I mean, Cody and Solo is going to be an overbooked mess, but it'll be fun. It'll be fun to watch. Um, Before I get out of here, um, something that came out from WWE today, Stephanie Vacure, um, who signed the other day, will be live in Mexico this weekend at the live events. One's in Mexico City and one's in Monterrey, I believe. So she will be there live. Um, I don't know if she's wrestling, but she's going to appear live, is what they said. Um, and speaking on that, like that news is wild. Okay. You know, she just had a match with Tessa Blanchard on Monday night or Tuesday night. And then we wake up Wednesday and she's immediately gone from CMLL and New Japan, effective immediately. She had resigned, only to find out a couple hours later she went to WWE. Um, and I guess you know, there's rumors circulating that she never even considered AEW, or seriously considered AEW, which is fine. I mean, and again, like at the end of the day, these people, like they're people, right? Just like you and me. And they're doing what they think is best for them. It doesn't matter, you know, what team they play for, right? It's the same as, same as pro sports, really, to me. That's the way I look at wrestling. Um, and, you know, if you're a fan of somebody, you're not like, you shouldn't hate them or, you know, be sour because they didn't go to your, to the brand that you prefer, you know? Again, one of these days I'm going to do a study on tribalism in wrestling. It's weird, but um last thing before I take off, you know, take care of your people. You know, I had, you know, I had my own little episode. I've been, you know, I'm fairly open about mental health and stuff like that. And uh, I had a bit of an episode myself this week, and I'm doing better now, but you know, always check on your people, you know? Um, I'm grateful I have friends like Andrew, you know, that we do this show together. And then, the other people that I have in my corner, that kind of help me navigate through this. And, you know, I'm, I'm, I'm on the other side of it now, but, you know, if you're listening to this, you're struggling, don't be afraid to reach out, you know, um, that's essentially what I did is just, I, it was a rough week, but, we get through it. Um, but it's okay to not be okay sometimes. And, just keep your head up. On that note, you know, uh, thank you for listening. If you're watching this on YouTube, you already know where to find us. If you don't know where to find us on YouTube, go search DA Wrestling Podcast. The socials for the show are DA Sports Podcast on Instagram, DA Sports Pod on X. Uh, Currently not present is April 1982 on Instagram, Andrew at DA Sports on TikTok. I'm D Lions 1991 on Twitter, and I'll catch you down the road.